can you be pro-war and be pro-God? Holy War, it's week 21, Sunday, May 24th. Today I went to Awaken Church. It was Memorial Day weekend. And this place is very, they're a little bit pro Jesus. They're more pro their own church than they are pro Jesus. There was a couple mentions of Jesus. There were more mentions of the church and even more mentions of America. We opened the service by singing the Star Spangled Banner. By the way, whoever the singer was killed it. She was so good. Then got right into a message of freedom and about how freedom isn't free. And they used Galatians chapter 5 to talk about how freedom isn't free and we have to fight and fight for freedom. So this place was very, very pro-America, very pro-military, very pro-government. Awaken Church was also subtly pro-war, and I'll explain more about that later on in this video. Let's get right into the scoring for this church. So every week, every new church experience gets a grade out of 60. They're graded on 6 different metrics that are each rated out of 10 points. So first, for meaning and message, I'm going to give that a 7. Like I said, they were more pro-America than it felt like even pro-Jesus, and also pro their own church. If you look at some of the material, this is some of the material that Awaken Church puts out there. And you can see even in the website and in their communications, it's more of the emphasis is put on the church than on Jesus, which other organizations also do. It's interesting to see the Jesus dial. Some places turn Jesus to 11, and in some Christian churches they dial Jesus down to like a 6, some a 3. These guys had put like a 1. The Jesus dial was set to 1. Maybe that was just this week because it was very like America, but the meaning and message was more centered around veterans and going to war for America, almost relating modern military service to a crusade. So that was interesting. Number 2 for the ritual, for the experience flow, also a 7. This was the loudest church I've been to by far. It felt like a club. If that is how some people connect to the infinite, then great. Just because it's really loud and very pro Second Amendment as a church doesn't mean that it's not a place to experience spirituality. Number 3 for ethics. I'm going to give that a 5 out of 10. They had a guest speaker. It was Pastor Dan Reaver. This guy was an absolute legend. Is an absolute legend. This guy went to Vietnam. He was in Vietnam, had a grenade explode this close, like right beside his face. He was holding it up in his hand. A Vietnamese sniper shot and hit the grenade and exploded right beside his face. He's been through, I don't know, dozens and dozens and dozens of reconstructive surgeries. And the fact that he's even alive is incredible. And the fact that he's doing what he's doing was really inspiring. And his organization is doing a lot of good work in the world. He said that his title was that he is a resilience trainer for social fitness and suicide prevention for veterans. That's awesome. On the other hand, a lot of the messaging before, during, and after Pastor Dave's speech was pretty blatantly pro-war, and I don't know how ethics and integrity can jive with glorifying war. But it made me wonder, can you be pro-war and be pro-God? Can you be a spiritual person who glorifies war? How does war fit into spirituality? Can those two things coexist? If we're talking about being in favor of love, how can love and war coexist? How can we be pro war but also practice love as a seeker of spirituality? I don't know how those two things can coexist. For number 4, community. The community energy and the belonging, a 6. For number 5, learning and cognitive expansion. 4, didn't learn anything new or come away with any sort of like expanded knowledge. And then lastly, number 6, heart resonance and emotional impact, an 8 out of 10. Pastor Dave's stories were truly inspiring. This was a very charismatic guy. You can tell that he's been a preacher for a long time. I think he said even his dad was a preacher too. So like, this is what this guy does. As a public speaker, he was great. Hilarious too. Excellent timing. And for what this man has experienced, to go through what he's gone through and to like come to the point he's at now was truly inspiring. And I was touched by a lot of his message and a lot of his stories. So 8 out of 10 on heart. Anyway, so overall, for Awaken Church, they score a 37 out of 60 for their Memorial Day service. Here is how they rank compared to the first 20 experiences through the first 20 weeks. If you have an idea of where you think I should go next, leave a comment. Otherwise, I'll be back next week with something completely different.